Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new edition of Coffee with the Chinooks right here on the Chinooks Social Network. As you'll see, I am not behind the driver's wheel today as the front office has voted that I have to be the interviewee. So we have a special interviewer today, which is Chris Salazar, our ticket sales and operations manager. Chris, welcome back to the car in a different role.
Thank you. Yep, the newer and, dare I say, slightly more attractive host.
Oh, yeah.
I'll let the likes and comments determine that, though.
Yeah, I did get voted off as the host, I guess, apparently by the front office for the next 2 weeks edition where I am the interviewee. So, Chris, why don't you kick things off for us?
All right, so, we've known each other 2016, 2017, I think. You spoke to basically all of my classes at Parkside. The only thing I know about you is you don't drink coffee. So I guess what the first question is, where would you get either you're a hot chocolate guy, or what is your preferred beverage and where would you get it from?
Yeah, I'm not a coffee guy. I've tried multiple times and I just can't get the taste to grow on me. I wish I could drink it for the caffeine, but I say I have hot chocolate probably about 5 times a year. But the beverage of choice, cheers.
Champagne of beverages.
Yeah, so champagne and beverages. And Pepsi and Mountain Dew are a proud sponsor of the Chinooks, and we just like to support our sponsors. So I'm a classic Mountain Dew guy, and I like my Code Red.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a Code Red guy too. I mean, you can go with the classic, but the Code Red's okay. So then where are you from, and then where do you currently reside?
I grew up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, born and raised, and I went to school at Parkside, right there in Kenosha. And then I've lived on the Oak Creek, Milwaukee border right by the airport for, we lived in Oak Creek for about 3 years, then we moved to right where we are now. We've been there for about 4 years now.
And then did you go to high school in Kenosha, and did you play any sports?
I did. I actually went to 2 high schools. I went to Indian Trail for 2 years before it became kind of a boundary school, and then I went to Kenosha Bradford. I played volleyball varsity all 4 years, basketball for 3 years. I had a few stints in track and field, and my brother was a state champion in track, and so naturally they thought the next Snodgrass was gifted in track, and it was not. So, and I had a very small stint in tennis for like 3 weeks.
What tennis?
I wasn't good.
I'm not shocked by that.
Yeah.
So then, what was your first ever job?
My first ever job. I worked at a Dairy Queen right down the road from me. So I was an ice cream maker. I was really good at dilly bars and Buster bars and Blizzards and the whole 9 yards. So a lot of my friends worked there. So it was a cool summer job for the first few years of high school. And you got to bring a lot home each day.
I was gonna say, did you get to eat a lot of it too?
We did. Usually got to bring home some sort of entree, and I bring home an extra large Blizzard every night. And then at the end of the year, whatever leftover overstock product there was, whether it was the long hot dogs or Blizzards and toppings and ice cream, we got to bring home dilly bars. So the month of October was a lot of fun.
So then, what are some of your hobbies when you're not either in the office or at the ballpark?
Well, between the Chinooks and the family, there's not a lot of time for hobbies, but I'm a big collector. I collect a few different sets of bobbleheads, Brewers, Bucks, Chinooks, obviously, and then since I was a kid, I'm a big wrestling figure collection. So just like you're a figure hunter. So
Yep.
I go out figure hunting. I probably got 500-600 wrestling figures for my collection. And then I'm a big movie and TV guy, so I'm a movie and TV buff. So a lot of television and movie watching.
So then, what are some of your what are your favorite fast food options? Because I know we eat out a lot. We catch a lot of flack for it.
We do.
We're just trying to simulate the economy. That's all.
Yeah, we want to support our local sponsors and businesses in Ozaukee County.
Yeah.
But we're actually in the middle of Lent, and we're trying to go 40 days without fast food. So we can update you how it goes. But I would say I'm a big Arby's guy. Arby's, I like most pizza places, Pizza Hut, Rocky or Coco's. I miss the days of all the Pizza Hut buffets.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Other than that, Culver's, I'll pretty much eat anything for the most part, but if I had to make one pick, it'd be Arby's, no question.
So then, outside of fast food, what would your favorite restaurant be? It could be chain, it could be local.
Local, I gotta go down to Kenosha. They have a lot of good Mexican and Italian places down there. If I'm going chain, we go to the Olive Garden a lot.
Yeah.
But with having a baby/toddler in the house, there's some nights where you don't want to bring the child out to a local dining establishment. So there's a lot of dine-in or carry-out right now.
Oh yeah, we have everything delivered. Everything. So then around the Milwaukee land areas, we're not too far away from that ballpark. Where are some of the your favorite places to visit, specifically in Milwaukee, and then in Wisconsin in general?
I really like going anywhere near the lakefront, whether it's downtown Milwaukee or anywhere in our area. I grew up pretty close to the Lake Michigan and Kenosha, so anywhere where you can kind of walk around or hang out by the lake. Obviously, Miller Park. I'm probably one of the few people that isn't as impressed with the Fiserv Forum. It's growing on me. I mean, it's definitely an upgrade. I don't know if it's necessary at the moment, but I would just say I'm a big beach and water guy. So anywhere I can be near a body of water.
So then that leads into the next question, which I can assume I know what the answer is going to be. What is your favorite vacation spot in general?
It would have to be the wonderful state of Florida. I'm a big Gulf Coast side, Tampa Bay area, Clearwater area. My wife has a sister that lives in Orlando, so we try to get down to Florida as much as possible. And obviously, whenever you can make it to the Caribbean, one of those islands every few years, that's always a unique experience.
So the next question, maybe living in Florida might be one of the answers, I don't know. But what would be your top bucket list item or items if you have a lot of them?
Well, you mentioned living in Florida. I would say our goal is to retire in Florida, but also have a place in Arizona for spring training.
I was going to say, is it for spring training?
But number one on the bucket list, I would have to say attend to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
We just haven't had one. We've had hopes of one in the Twin Cities with the Vikings new arena. And the Vikings have not come through with us on that, so we either have to travel south or hope to get one in Minneapolis. But it's number one on my list, WrestleMania.
Does your wife watch these? Like if you're on it?
Watch pay-per-views?
No, like the Coffee With Chinooks.
You know, she says she doesn't watch much of the time because she doesn't like the way I sound. She thinks I act differently on camera.
Well, what we should do is make our wives watch this one and just ask all our Chinook fans out there to put in the comments or anywhere that you need to guilt our wives in allowing us to go to WrestleMania.
Yeah, send Chris and Eric to WrestleMania.
Yeah, send Chris and Eric to WrestleMania.
Let's get it trending. Yeah. I agree. Good idea.
Yep. So you do like to watch a lot of TV because I mean we have the same thing with a young child. It's kind of hard to do much of anything. What would be your favorite TV shows? Let's say right now, and then a couple all time.
Both tough questions. All time, comedy wise, you got to go with The Office. Boy Meets World's up there. Modern Family. Otherwise, I was a big 24 guy back in the day. Prison Break. The West Wing is a great show. So there's probably about 7 or 8 that would really fall into my all time. But currently,
not The Sopranos.
Sopranos would be up there, yes. I didn't watch it for the first time until a few years ago, and I was hooked besides that awful ending. But right now, I watch a lot of different shows, but honestly, there's nothing that would even come close to my top 10 of all time.
Yeah, there's like a wide variety of TV shows, but there's not a lot of really good ones.
Yeah.
So top 3 movies of all time.
Ooh. I would have to say The Dark Knight Rises, and probably number 3 is actually a TV movie, the movie Gettysburg. So I was a real big history buff in middle school and high school, and I love the movie Gettysburg.
And then podcasts. I know you're not a big music guy, but you do listen to a lot of podcasts, specific wrestling. So what are some wrestling podcasts that you're listening to?
Well, a lot of us have a long commute to the office, especially with traffic. And like I said, I'm not a big music guy, and you can only listen to the radio and everything that's wrong with the world. So I started listening to a podcast, Something to Wrestle With. It's got Bruce Pritchard, who is a backstage agent for WWE, basically Vince McMahon's right-hand man. So it's cool to hear all the behind-the-scenes stories and how they come up with all the materials and scripts and characters. And then I actually started listening to one, which is pretty interesting. I listen to a podcast about wrestling figures from time to time. So, but I'll say it makes my drive go quicker and more enjoyable than hearing about politics and crime and everything else in the ring.
Have you met any wrestlers?
I have. Probably one of the coolest perks of the Chinooks job is just been meeting a lot of the wrestlers. So we've had Sergeant Slaughter, Kevin Nash, Hacksaw Jim Duggan was awesome, $1 Million Man, Ricky Steamboat last year, and we're close to gearing up to announce our wrestler this year. So, and then the Admirals always do a great promotion every year. And then our friend Dave Hero does a lot of local shows where we've met a lot of guys too. So yeah, I got a encyclopedia that I get autographs in, and But I tell you, the guys from the 80s and 90s are dropping like flies. So
But there's one wrestler in particular that you've met.
Yes.
That I don't know if our fans know that you've met this person.
Yeah.
Maybe the biggest of all time.
September of 2012, we were on a vacation with my family in Florida, and Hulk Hogan owns a beach shop, and I got word that he was stopping by, so I did the creep thing, and I kind of sat outside the store until he arrived. My wife had abandoned me. My dad was with me until a certain point, and he gave up, and then he drove up right when my wife came back, and I just wanted to introduce myself and meet him. And I mean, I didn't ask for an autograph because I didn't want to be that guy. I did ask for a picture, but you never know with celebrities if they're going to be nice or if they're going to be kind of a jerk. But he was awesome. He talked to us for a few minutes. He took a picture, and it was definitely behind my marriage and the birth of my child. I put that number 3.
I was gonna say it's probably number 1, but because this is on video, I'm telling you.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. And then so I have one more question for you, and then we'll kind of go into more Chinooks type of stuff. We have had some pretty heated debates, usually because you're wrong and you just don't understand it. What would be your wrestling Mount Rushmore?
Ooh. Hulk Hogan.
Agreed.
This is tough. Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin.
Agreed.
You got to put Ric Flair up there.
Also agreed.
And you're going to disagree with this because you want The Rock on there. I would probably say a tie between Shawn Michaels and Jake.
Shawn Michaels.
Mr. WrestleMania.
You know what? I'm not going to degrade you. This is your show, so you're entitled to your wrong opinion.
Well, I guess that will wrap up this session. And Chris will be back with us next week as, like he said, we will dive into my 8 years with the Chinooks here now. So thanks for joining us, Chris. Thanks for agreeing to be the host this week.
No problem.
And we'll see everybody right here next week on the Chinooks Social Network for a brand new Coffee with Chinooks.